Great. All right. That's all set. I'll start with the two gentlemen in the conference room there. If you each could give me your name and who you're representing here today.
Okay. I'm Fala Hodey, the landlord of 2458 Harrison Avenue.
Okay. And could you spell your name for me, please?
F-A-L-A-H. Last name is O-D-E-H, Hodey.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. O'Day. And who do you have with you?
Charles Meyer. I'm the project architect.
Okay. And Mr. Meyer, do you spell your name with a Y or an I?
M-E-Y-E-R.
Great. All right. Welcome. We go ahead and move on to Mr. Brandyberry. Mr. Brandyberry, if you could unmute, tell me who you're representing here today.
My name is Abe Brandyberry. I am the executive director of Cincinnati Urban Promise. We are located at 2420 Harrison Avenue, about 4 doors down from this property.
Okay, great. Welcome. And I have a Jacob Hodish.
Yes. Hey, Jacob Hodesh. We own 2444 Harrison, next door to Abe, and I guess that would be 2 or 3 doors down from the property. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Hodish, do you intend on providing any testimony here today? If you could take yourself off mute.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute there.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to make a couple comments if possible.
Okay. Sure. That's great. And welcomed. I do, whenever I notice someone's in a vehicle, I just want to let them know that when you're testifying, the vehicle will need to be stationary. Okay.
Yeah, I'm parked. I'm not moving.
Okay.
The vehicle's
Fantastic.
not on. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mr. Hosh. Okay, and I have Greg Hand. Mr. Hand, if you could unmute, please. Let me know who you're representing here today.
Yeah, my name is Greg Hand. I'm the president of the Westwood Community Urban Redevelopment Corporation, known as Westkirk. And we have been spending the past year beginning an analysis of a business district around the intersection of Harrison and McHenry.
Okay. We will hold off just for a minute on any substantive testimony. I need to go through a few things first, but I do have you down here as the president of the Westwood Redevelopment Corporation, and we will get started here in just a minute. So before we get going, I need to read through our hearing script, which will just cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll jump right into the presentation from the applicant, and then I'll give everyone from the public an opportunity to respond. So bear with me while I handle this last administrative item. So this is the December 7th, 2022 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the City of Cincinnati. I'll preside over the hearing today. The case before us is case number ZH20220168. That's 2458 Harrison Avenue. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any potential opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. Then anyone from the public will have an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. I will give the zoning plans examiner, Wes Lenzel, who is also in this hearing here today. I'll give him an opportunity to provide any testimony he would like in addition to his staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to that opposition or argument. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. So for our purposes here today, I'll give Mr. Meyer, Mr. O'Day, an opportunity to tell me about the project, any background they think is important, and ultimately why they believe that this application is appropriate and why I should grant the relief that they're requesting. Let me just say off the bat what that is exactly. Today, they are requesting conditional use approval for vehicle equipment sales and vehicle repair use to allow for tire sales and repair on the property at 2458 Harrison Avenue. Now, of course, they're going to give us some more context about what that actually means and what the business will look like. But that's what we'll begin with the applicant's presentation, telling us more about that. I'll then go to the public. Each Mr. Hand, Mr. Hodesh, and Mr. Brandyberry will have an opportunity to tell me whatever they would like in regards to this project, whether they're for it or against it. I'll then allow Wes an opportunity to weigh in if he would like, as from the zoning department's perspective. I'll then go back to the applicants so that they can respond to anything that was said from the public or by Wes, and then allow them to make any closing statements. So something you'll notice there to the members of the public is that you really just have one opportunity to tell me what you would like and to testify in this hearing. Okay, after all presentations have been made, I'll close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. Hearsay testimony is generally testimony you want to provide that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties with our Zoom technology, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. All right, the final thing I need to do here, guys, is to swear in all of our witnesses. If you intend on providing any testimony here today, making any comments, asking any questions, doing anything other than just strictly observing the hearing here today, then the zoning code requires that I swear you in. So I'm going to do that now collectively for everyone that intends on testifying. So if you intend on testifying, if you could take yourself off mute now. I need everyone to answer out loud, and I need everyone to raise their right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay. And Mr. Hand, if you're planning on just observing here today, that's fine. Yeah, okay. All right, let's see. Who's going to be taking the lead here on the presentation of the applicant's case? Will it be Mr. Meyer or Mr. O'Day?
Mr. Meyer.
Mr. Meyer, the floor is yours.
The project is a small, about 1,080 feet square building on Harrison Avenue. It originally was built as a bank or savings loan. A few years ago, it became vacant and has remained vacant since that previous owner had left. Then Mr. O'Day has bought the building, and he wants to, as mentioned, that open that up as a tire sales and replacement. The word repair is included in there, but that's kind of the only thing they're going to repair are flat tires. But mostly going to be doing nothing but installing new tires. They were adding a second, extending the building out slightly to include a second a bay for 2 cars. Two cars can be in the building at one time. Making the modifications to the building that are necessary to meet the building code, which is basically installing a new restroom for the handicap, and then the question comes up about visibility of the building and tire storage and so forth. We, as far as visibility is concerned, along the west line, there's an open area from the sidewalk back to the tree line that is open to which would make the lot and also the back lot where the tires are going to be stored visible from the street and also from the neighbors. That there's going to be a 6-foot privacy fence that extends from the sidewalk back into the tree line, and then that'll stop there. And then in the midway through the rear lot, there's going to be a privacy fence that extends from east to west, and that's to protect and make it less visible for anybody to see where the tires are stored. Now, tire storage is going to be handled with 2 shipping containers. They're going to be putting in the back lot. There may be one for used tires, or maybe one for new tires. I'm not sure about how that is going to operate. Excuse me. Then a question came up about visibility of that lot from the rear, from the residential neighborhood. The rear of that lot has a large tree overgrowth that extends from the edge of the paved surface for which was originally the parking lot, from that paved surface back to the property lines of the neighboring street, which is what's the name of the street?
McHenry and Harrison.
There's
a McHenry and Harrison.
McHenry. Okay, thank you. So that area is all heavily treed and a lot of bushes, and they haven't been tended to for years and years. And that extends around onto the west side of that lot and extends that down to where the privacy fence along the west property line is going to be. So then that will then, all the tire storage is going to be behind the privacy fence that runs through that paved surface from east to west. And no tires are going to be stored outside where they're going to be visible by anybody, really. They're all back and behind that fence in the storage area. I think you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I believe also, I worked up in that area before, and I believe the area is in a need for a auto shop and a tire place up there, because when there's a winter and snow, it's hard for anybody to get off that hill to go down. There's nothing close, I believe. So I think it will be helpful for the neighborhood. And we will always communicate with the priority board up there and the community, and was ever concerned about the neighborhood up there. And like Charlie said, all the containers, we're going to have few containers all the way in the back. There's a big parking lot behind the building. There's no tires going to be shown in the front. It's going to be nice and clean. That's about it.
New tire display is going to be inside the building, as it is in most any tire shop. They have all the tires inside.
With the privacy fence all around the property, it will be.
I think that's basically what we're going to do. And if there's anything that Mr. O'Day is willing to make any kind of updating or whatever necessary for approval, I guess. So we're open to those kind of ideas too.
Sure. Okay. Let me just ask a couple questions. So just to be clear, the privacy fence is going to extend around the entire perimeter of the property, or
No.
Okay.
Why not?
We don't need that.
We can. I mean, there's already a fence, so we have to just cover it.
Why don't we try
I mean,
this?
if we put a privacy fence in, it would be to protect us from
Can everyone see my screen?
operation.
Can everyone see my screen
Operations
now?
on the corner.
Mr. Meyer, give me a minute here. Can
Yeah.
everyone see my screen?
We see it on the screen, yes.
Great, thanks.
But
So this is the property.
There's
Where
a block
exactly,
in the middle
Mr.
hiding
Meyer,
everything.
Mr. Meyer, give me 1 minute here. Let me ask the question, okay? Can you tell me exactly where Mr. Meyer, Mr. O'Day, where exactly this privacy fence is going to go, and also where the storage of the tires and the containers is going to be located on the property?
Is it possible to remove that block from in the middle of the screen? We're seeing this meeting is being in live stream sign. Pop up.
There's a box in the middle of the screen.
The site plan might show that stuff, David.
Okay, are you Wes, can you help me out? Are you also seeing a block on the middle of the screen, or is that just on the conference room?
I don't know, right now I see you're scrolling through the staff report. So
It's a fence here.
The block is it's
There.
a heads up to participants, and they can remove the block by clicking the OK.
Got it.
All right.
Gotcha. Here, no, I got someone who's going to help out here. She's coming in right now. Sorry about that, guys.
That's what we're seeing there is all the trees that's behind this parcel. And then that's beautiful. That's it. And the privacy fence would run
Thank you, Chris.
from Harrison Avenue back to where it gets into the tree line on the west side. And then the second privacy fence will run about midway through that parking area in the back from east, from southeast and northwest. And then the shipping containers will be behind that. And then there's trees there along that lower property line. And if necessary, we can also add a privacy fence along that southeast property line up to the building. Which would, but the only thing that's behind that people will see is the parking. We have room for 4 or 5 parking stalls.
Gotcha. So where exactly is are the storage containers going to be located?
The what?
The storage containers?
They'll run. They're right where your arrow is now.
All the way in the back.
Right in the back. They'll run. Those things will run parallel to that rear property line.
20 feet, all the way in the back. Yeah.
Okay, back here.
And then they would run parallel to that.
Will there be storage of tires anywhere else on the property?
No, just in the container.
There'll be only inside the containers.
Okay. And will there be storage of vehicles in this back parking lot as well?
There are no vehicles now. That it's meant to be. You come in, get their tires, and leave.
Got it. Okay.
There will be parking. It's right in that corner right behind it, right there. That's for customer parking and the handicap parking.
Got it. Okay. All right. And so with the privacy fence, then you don't believe that any of the storage containers or the parking lot will be visible from the street view or from adjacent properties?
They will not be.
I don't think so.
The privacy fence is going to run midway through that parking area in the rear. It's a 6-foot solid privacy fence.
Okay.
The containers are 8 feet high. You know, from the street, you probably see the top of them, but that's all.
Charlie, with all
Okay.
that's going on, you can hardly see anything.
What sort of, if any, adverse noise or sonic impacts do you anticipate as a result of this project?
All the
Is it-
tire
is it-
work is done inside the building. That's where if there's noise, it'll be inside the building.
Okay. I'm an attorney. I'm not a mechanic. I've had my tires changed. I know that it can get a little noisy. Do you think that there's any chance that that noise is going to impact adjacent property owners, even with it inside the building?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, going back to that aerial that you had on before, you can see that the house is actually pretty far away from the property. Even the ones going out west on Harrison Avenue.
Okay. And okay. All right. I think that's all the questions I have right now. I think I'm going to go ahead and give the public an opportunity to weigh in here. So I'll start with Mr. Brandyberry, if you're ready, if you could unmute. Is there anything you wanted to add or tell me about this project?
All right. Well, I have a few concerns. One being that if the project were to move forward, that that building needs extensive work. There was just a hearing about, I don't know, midsummer, where the property was, they said that it needed to be torn down. The building department did. But at that hearing, we found out that it had sold at sheriff's sale to the current owner that is here today. And I believe he was given time to get permits and things to do the building and secure the building. He has secured the building. There is still a lot of folks hanging around the building, and it's still kind of a nuisance property. For these purposes today, like, I feel like I've been working in this neighborhood for a while, and I feel like there are some more significant needs in our community, and this part of Westwood has recently been deemed, and I know Greg didn't put his hand up to swear in, but it was deemed a business district. I forget what that's exactly called, but you know, we have a lot of interests, a lot of the folks that are working in this neighborhood in making sure that this business district is providing for the needs of our community. For me personally, I feel like our major need is anything to do with food, whether it be dining or whether it be additional grocery type options, because we have very few things going on in this area. Jake will probably testify. They are opening a Hispanic market next door to us in the property next to us. But we until that opens, we're really a food desert in this area here. And with this becoming a business district, I feel like it lends us opportunity that we can try to push for more food options in this part of the neighborhood, and meet the needs of the folks that live here. Many of the folks don't even drive. I mean, so many of the folks that live right here are elderly that walk. They live in a lot of senior assistant buildings around us, a lot of the apartment buildings around us. And I just don't see the need for a tire business like this. I think, I don't know how you're going to put car bays into that building, and I don't see, I don't know. I just don't see how that type of business would be good for that property. There are very few options in this business district. There's not a lot of spaces for new businesses, and so I think that we need to be very careful about what goes into the spaces that we do have, and plan that well.
Okay. Mr. Branderberry, thank you for your testimony. I appreciate you being here. You know, as someone who's more familiar with this area than I am, if I could ask just a couple questions. One, Are you, is your testimony that this community is mostly, I don't know the right way to say it, pedestrian, pedestrian-based traffic? It's more of a walkable community. My impression was that most of the people that live and work here are heavily dependent on automobiles.
A lot of them are I didn't mean that there aren't people that drive. I'm saying that there is a large population that rely heavily on public transportation. Most of the traffic that we get going through the intersection right here are people just traveling really between the city and upper parts of Westwood. You know, people do drive, the people do have cars in our community, but there is a large population that do not.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I think that's all I had. So you feel like this property could be put to better commercial use
Yes.
through some other uses.
Mhm.
Sure. Okay. Anything else you want to say?
I guess that's it for now.
Okay. All right. I said at the beginning you had one chance, but that's
Sure.
something that pops in your head.
I
Just
think
let me
that's
know.
it. Yeah.
Okay, sure. All right. Thank you for your testimony. Thanks to all the members of the public that are here today. It really is valuable for me to hear from a on the ground perspective what's going on in these areas. So, Mr. Hodish, if you're ready, I'll give you an opportunity now.
Sure. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just want to say hi, Charlie. I've worked with Charlie before in the past, so get that out of there. Hello. Yeah, so we purchased 2444 Harrison, which is at the corner of Harrison and McHenry. And I guess what I would say is in advance of even closing on that property, we met with all of our neighbors and we had meetings with Abe, with Greg and other constituents and stakeholders in Westwood. I don't live in Westwood. I didn't own any other property in Westwood. And I was very interested in 2444 Harrison as a possible viable commercial property. But I started that entire endeavor by talking with my neighbors and finding out what the highest and best use of that property would be. And Abe kind of hinted at that, and that's where we landed on going to get a Latino grocery store tenant. And we entered not only the acquisition of that property with that in mind, but also our full renovation of that building was predicated on our communication and our engagement with our neighbors regarding what would be the highest and best use of that building, thus figuring out a grocery store. We surveyed the demographics of the neighborhood, and there is a strong Latino population that rents and lives in the area, and therefore we found a Hispanic Latino-based grocer who's going in, and they're going to open within the next couple of weeks. And that was I would say multi-month, but I almost feel like it was a multi-year process. And so I think a bunch of us as neighbors were surprised to, well, first of all, we never received notice of this hearing. We didn't know about this hearing. Someone outside of our network let us know about the hearing. And I think we were surprised to know that there was action and activity happening at this location because we have not been engaged at all. And there are many stakeholders, property owners, landlords, in the neighborhood who have a vision for what this neighborhood could be and what it's going to take for this neighborhood to get better, including the Shell station and the adjacent properties there. And I think part of what Abe was getting at was our goals for the commercial district are not an end user that needs to hide their business behind a privacy fence. Our goals for this business district are not shipping containers. Our goals for this business district are not a design set, an architecture plan, and change of use that is predicated on trying to hide the business that's going to be there. We want businesses that are hanging their flags, that are open for business, that are drawing in customer base and serving the immediate needs of the neighborhood. And we will get behind that. I can attest to the fact, as someone who does not live in the neighborhood, who is investing in a property in the neighborhood, that with the right idea and with the right plan, not only are the neighbors in the neighborhood and the stakeholders going to support that vision and that plan, but they're going to get behind it and make it even better and drive the community to that business entity. And so I think what you're hearing from Abe, and obviously from me, is we would have really enjoyed some engagement before this meeting from someone who's driving business into the business district. And I think we could have and would have helped guide that person, that entity, whoever they were, to a great business that could happen and thrive in the district and contribute to the district. So I think, again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the entire community, but I think part and parcel, or some of our frustration, is we would have loved to have been engaged. We think we could have helped make that property a huge success and something that was not only good for the building owner landlord, but also for the business district and the community. What I see happening here, if a tire repair shop is put in place, is, yes, at the beginning there's going to be privacy fence and there's only going to be tires stored inside, but very quickly this is going to become there is potential that this could become an eyesore for the neighborhood. Tires everywhere. All of a sudden, cars not getting their tires fixed inside the building. There's too many cars. We got to fix them on the outside. A nuisance, noise violations, etc. All the while, we're trying to raise Westwood. We're trying to build the business district. And these are just some concerns that we have. And yeah, I appreciate the time, and thanks for your ears.
Sure. Thank you for your time and your testimony here today. One of the reasons I was asking about some of the potential adverse impacts was to get an idea of, well, one, what they may be, and what efforts the owners taken to mitigate those, but also to potentially, if I were to approve this, impose certain conditions on that approval. And some of the concerns that you noted that could come after some time are conditions that can be put on any zoning approval that would prevent that from happening potentially. I know that still does not address all of your concerns and your vision for this neighborhood, but that is something that I am able to do if I were to approve this. Mr. Hand, I'm going to give you an opportunity here. If you did want to testify, I can swear you in. You don't have to by any means, but if you'd like to, now would be the time. Yeah, Mr. Hodes, did you want to add something?
Sorry. Yeah, I guess just before I close, regarding enforcement, I think there's lack of enforcement already in the neighborhood. If you spend any time at the Shell station, I'm whether or not the city is holding the Shell station to a certain standard, there is no enforcement at this corner at Harrison and McHenry, which is part of the issue with this specific intersection. And so I don't know how the other community members would feel about that, but I don't think we would have a lot of faith and trust in enforcement. I totally understand that you would set a standard and hope that it would be enforced. We're not seeing a lot of enforcement of anything in Westwood.
Got it.
I can.
In Shell Station, do you guys mean the Shell Station? You just mean like loitering and criminal activity, or the Shell Station?
Loitering, criminal activity, garbage, all of the above. Yes.
Got it.
Okay. And Abe and I, Greg, we all have constant communication with the police. Like everybody knows that corner. They know Harrison and McHenry. We need businesses that are going to uplift this corner. We really do. At a bare minimum, we need businesses that are going to uplift this corner. That should be the center focus of everybody in Westwood and everybody at the city of Cincinnati.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Mr. Hodes. All right, Mr. Hand, did you want to add anything?
The only thing I wanted to add is
let me go ahead and get you sworn in. If you'd raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, great.
This isn't. I didn't think of it as testimony, but I think Jake made a comment that the community was not notified about this hearing, and I'm mostly here to report back to the Westwood Civic Association, which is the actual responsible party for zoning matters in Westwood. But when I heard about the hearing, I contacted several members of Westwood Civic, and none of them had received any notification about this hearing. So it's a matter of a little concern, and I'm really here to report back to them and tell them what went on at the hearing.
Sure, absolutely. I can tell you that from time to time we have heard complaints about notification. I can tell you a little bit about that process just for the record. We have email addresses on file for every community organization that is every community council that is. And those emails are automatically generated and sent to the email address that we have on file that we receive from those community councils. And so those go out automatically every time. There is a way that we can verify that, but I've never attempted to verify that and found out that that email did not go out. So, you know, it's hard on our end to understand why those emails don't reach certain eyes sometimes for different community councils, but those are all automated. The same is true for our postcard notification process. I'm curious, Mr. Branderberry, got any notification of this? No? Okay. So all of this is all done through the auditor's site. This is all done through the auditor's site and through the zoning code. The zoning code requires us to draw a certain radius from the subject property and to automatically capture via the auditor's site every single address within a certain distance. And so that then cross-checks whatever the owner and address is on file for those surrounding properties and automatically generates them. And we send them out and they go out 2 weeks prior to the hearing. And so again, we automate those processes so that there is no or there's an extremely limited chance of any human error with those. And so oftentimes property owners will have the mailing address on the auditor's site to an LLC or to a property that is off site. And so if that's the case, sometimes these notifications are sent to addresses that are not within that distance because that's what's on the auditor's site. Hopefully that makes sense. And like I said, we can send you verification of all of that afterwards if you would like. But I understand the concern. Let me ask this to the applicant and the owner. Mr. O'Day and Mr. Meyer, I've heard a lot of testimony from the public today that they feel like they would like to talk some more about this, to have some more engagement, to be able to interface with you all a little bit more before I render a decision on this. Do you have, or would you be willing at all to continue this matter for a couple of weeks so that you can have those conversations and so that there can be some more engagement with the community before I render a decision?
And what would we accomplish by doing that?
Well, you've heard the concerns from the public. To the extent that you'd be willing to address them or try to have some dialogue about those, or why you believe this business won't have some of the adverse impacts that they believe, that sometimes can be useful if you have more public support going into these applications. The decision is yours. You don't have to do that. It's completely up to you. But I like to give people the option when there is that sort of commentary from the public.
Damn. I think with the we did. It would probably be okay. Damn. Excuse me.
Take your time, Mr. Meyer.
Get some water.
Get some water. I'm gonna go get some water.
Let's take a quick 5-minute recess here. Give Mr. Meyer an opportunity to get some water. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hey Abe, I have to jump off. I don't know. Are we still live, Abe? Can you guys hear me?
He did a 5-minute recess.
Okay. I have to jump off. I'm like late for three things, but I felt like, I don't know if we're still being recorded. I don't really care. I feel like I was able to say my piece. Would you guys mind emailing me if I missed anything? I just had to jump off. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Sorry, I have to jump.
You okay now? Wait a minute.
Sorry, guys. It's this time of the year, I think.
Sure, no problem. Just to get us back on track here, guys. What I said was sometimes in these hearings, I'll allow for them to be continued if the parties feel like some continued dialogue with the community would be useful. And then I sort of left that up to the applicant and the owner if they would like to attempt to try to do that.
Well, let me highlight some things here, and maybe that might change your mind. The privacy fence that is required by zoning, for one thing. It's we're bounded by residential on one side, commercial on the other. So the privacy fence is required no matter what. The front of the building is going to will be cleaned up. There's of course there'll be some shrubbery put in, landscaping, and dressed up. So from the street, you probably can't even tell that it's a tire shop. There's windows across the front, and which they can be shaded. They could anything to make it look like it's not what it really is. The question about the being big enough for 2 bays, the back wall is going to be extended out about 8 feet. That'll create the second bay, but that's not even going to be seen from the street. A question about putting that type of store in there in the neighborhood, wanting something other than that. Activity in an area is good. If it's just vacant, it's been vacant for 2 years, that couldn't have helped. All it's done is made a home for vagrants and a place for people to go to the bathroom. And having people in that building, no matter what it's used for, is going to show activity and shows that there's something more vibrant in the neighborhood, and that could allow then other businesses to feel more comfortable about being there. We can't do anything about the Shell station next door. That's got its own problems and anything. So we are trying to make an improvement in this building that will look better and make the community look better. Like I said, it's been sitting there for 2 years with nobody in it. And that has not been good.
Can I say something?
Yeah, good.
I worked in a grocery store before, and I worked in an auto shop before, and I worked in an auto service before, and I worked in that area. I know that area. I was up there for 3 years before, working actually across the street in a cell phone shop. I think adding another grocery store on that corner, McHenry and Harrison, is going to do nothing but more loitering and more guys hanging around. Because I know the area. It's just, you just can't help it. Those guys will stick there. I used to get out, tell them no loitering, leave, get out, gotta go. And it's just the area just full of youngsters. Adding another grocery store into there, it's just gonna add more loitering, more hanging out with the gas station, I believe. But having an auto shop there is going to be all closed up with the fence. When that store is closed down, when it closes at 6 o'clock, it's going to be closed with the fence all the way across. If anybody wants to hang around, it will be obvious. It will be obvious for the police if he's passing through, for the public. But having a grocery store, I believe, those kids, those youngsters, they will be going in and out. It's going to be difficult. I mean, it's a great idea having another grocery store, but it will add a problem into the neighborhood. Beside the gas station up there in McHenry and Harrison.
Is there a grocery store across the street? That Save-A-Lot food stores is not there anymore.
It's a restaurant, I believe.
But a couple of doors up the street's an African grocery on the other side of the street.
Gotcha. Okay.
Nice.
So the incoming Latin food grocery store will be the only grocery store on that in that intersection area. Could I ask Mr. Hanna, Mr. Brandenberry, how are you defining the bounds of this commercial district? Is it just based on what the CCM zoning district is? Does it go from like the fire department to the Cincy Urban Promise, or?
Basically, yes. When the Cincinnati Neighborhood Business Districts United established business districts back in the 90s or 80s or something like that, they only established two in Westwood. One was the historic business district along Harrison Avenue, and the other was a small, what they call a node at the intersection of Montana and Glenmore. A couple of months ago, we appealed to that organization and said that we really needed to establish a business district at this intersection. And the main reason is the area needs attention, and the only way to apply for certain funds is to apply them within a designated business district. And so the new node or subsidiary business district runs from approximately the fire station to the end of Cincinnati Urban Promise. It includes the mostly vacant shopping center across the street, and it goes 2 or 3 properties up McHenry from Harrison. It's relatively small and compact.
Got it. And is there, so to be clear, is there any neighborhood or business district plan or guidelines or anything like that?
No, it took us several months to get approval to have the area recognized as a subsidiary business district. And we needed to see if that would be approved before we started working with the business owners in the area and start developing a plan. So we haven't started work on the plan because the designation was just approved weeks ago, really.
I was just going to say that those efforts are, like what Greg's saying, those efforts are starting. There, we don't have, like, I would say that we don't necessarily have like a official plan, but like what Jake was alluding to, that the folks that own the businesses around there, we have been communicating with Westkirk, with Civic, and working towards getting some of those plans in place. This actually kind of goes back probably to 2018, some of these discussions, and that building in particular has been in those discussions. And we were kind of shocked that it even went to sheriff's sale, because we were under the impression it had liens and everything with the IRS. And so that's why. And so then, like, now that it's been bought and really not much communication with community, with the community, it's kind of disheartening.
Gotcha. Okay.
The communication with the community is not a bad idea, but it's not a common idea.
It is in Westwood.
Yeah, but many times people, they don't do that. I mean, that's like going to your neighbor at your house and asking your neighbors if you can buy their house. But that doesn't mean anything. It would have been better. I agree with you. The only thing is, it probably wouldn't have changed anything though, because probably what it would have done is caused the present owner not to buy the building, and it would sit there for another couple of years empty, or until somebody else come along. But that interchange right there around the McHenry has not had a good reputation. And but any kind of activity you can get going in there, and like I said, you would dress that building up in the front so it's an attractive looking location, and maybe even the shopping center across the street is empty. There's a lot of other areas that kind of direct your attention.
Is the shopping center across the street completely vacant?
No, so there's actually, I think, only one spot at this point vacant over there. There was recently an AutoZone put in. The only grocery store in the neighborhood, Save a Lot, they did close during the pandemic, and then unfortunately a plasma center went in its place, and we fought that as much as we could and couldn't get that stopped. But they do have, there's a Family Dollar in there, and there's a cell phone and some kind of clinic in there.
Okay, thanks. I think I'll give the zoning plans examiner on this, Wes Menzel, an opportunity to provide any testimony if you would like.
Good morning. So I just want to highlight a couple things. So we did conclude that the proposed use is in a commercial district and it's appropriately located, designed, and configured to minimize the adverse effects, and that it activates an existing building in vacant site. I just want to point out that they did indicate they have limited hours from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday would be the proposed hours. They are activating a vacant site. And they're going a little bit beyond than what they're required for as far as buffering. They have an extra wide buffer in the back just because of the remnant vegetation and such, and plus the screen fencing. I mean, I will say that our analysis focused on the proposal. Like, we aren't evaluating like the type of use that it is as far as relative to other uses. So, and the zoning code for this district does allow for vehicle repair, as a conditional use. So it's, that's just, I wanted to highlight that. So thanks.
Gotcha. Thanks, Wes. Okay. I think I'll go back now to the applicant and the owner. Is there anything else you would like to say in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today?
Like I said before, truly, I worked in that area 3 years to 3.5 years, especially right there across the street from that building. Adding another grocery store there, it will cause nothing but another hangout, not unless if you want to bring a SWAT team. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. That's how we feel. And it's
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it at that then. I'm going to, I've heard a lot of testimony here today. I'd like to spend a little bit more time with this. The zoning code does require that I do a site visit, which usually is typically just drive by and get a feel for the neighborhood and the surroundings there. And so I think this is a case where that would be appropriate. So as I said at the beginning, this usually takes about 2 weeks. I anticipate I'll have a decision ready by that time. I'm going to sort of take it under advisement until then. Once I finish the decision, what I do is I put it into a PDF. It's a written decision. I put it into a PDF and I email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. So you all will have a copy of that decision really just moments after it's complete. I'll also note that there is an appeal window from the time that decision is issued. You have 30 days if you would like to appeal that decision. That is something that whether it's approved or denied can be appealed. I think that's it. Are there any other questions about process or the decision or anything like that? If you'd like a status update on the decision, you can email me or contact me directly. And I'm happy to provide you with that update. But are there any other questions about process right now?
I think that if the neighborhood owners here, Mr. Granberry and the others, want us to come out and meet with them at the site and walk through it and get an idea of what really is going to happen there, we're more than willing to do that.
Okay. I'll say this, that you all are, of course, can do whatever you would like outside of this hearing in terms of communication and all of that. However, once I adjourn this hearing, I can no longer take in new evidence from any party. So the sort of evidentiary record will be complete. So no testimony or pictures or anything like that can be accepted after this is adjourned. So I'll ask just one more time, just to be certain. The applicant and the owner, you would like for this meeting to be adjourned today for me to start working on a decision and to issue a decision before you have any further communications with the community. Is that right?
No, the opposite. You said it was going to take you a couple of weeks to make your decision.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
we were looking to meet with the community in the next couple of days. Now,
Would
that
you
may
like-
not change that, that may not change the community's mind and that, but it'll give us a better idea where they're coming from and what we can do to mitigate that.
And would you like me to consider when I'm making the decision, what was said in those conversations?
We would give you I can give you a report from it if you'd like.
Right. Okay. So I can do that. And I'm happy to do that. But we will have to, instead of adjourning, we would have to continue
with you?
this,
Yeah, that's
which
okay.
we can reconvene this hearing in a couple of weeks. You can give me that report. Then we can adjourn. Then I can issue a decision if you would like. Do you understand the distinction that I'm talking about here?
That's why we need another hearing, that's all.
Yeah.
It's not really another hearing, it's just finishing up this hearing, right?
Yeah. It's not a separate hearing. It would just be sort of pausing this hearing so that I can take in whatever report you want to give me and incorporate that into my ultimate decision. Otherwise, I can only incorporate into my decision what I have heard today or before today.
You want to wait a little bit longer?
That's fine, Joe.
Okay. I still think we need to go back to the community and get, so they feel more comfortable with what we want to do there.
Okay.
And then you want to reset the hearing then?
Yeah, we can reset the hearing for 2 weeks if that works for you guys, for the applicant and the owner. That'd be the 21st.
That should be fine.
That's fine, Joe.
21st, yes.
Okay. I will, we will reset that. I'm going to resend out notices too. So Mr. Hand, I know that you were going to probably attempt to sort of troubleshoot what was going on with that notification, but I would tell them that whatever email they have on file, and I can even send you what email we have on file, that's where the notifications are going. So if they don't get it this time, then there is some disconnect with the system. Also, please encourage them to check their spam, their, any sort of filters they have on their email, because sometimes it'll end up there. Okay, so this will be officially continued so that there can be some further conversations. We'll be back here on the 21st. We will close the hearing on that day, and then I will issue a decision after that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, we are.